My lovely students, welcome to Mathological. This is the 14th session of DILR100 series for CAT 2026. Start करते हैं session. And if you're not already subscribed, तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लेना, साथ में सेशन को भी लाइक कर देना. And you can also join Telegram channel or WhatsApp channel. Link you can check out in the description as well. So the set for today, this is the set followed by 5 questions. So a beautiful scheduling based problem. Pause the video, try to solve it, and then only watch the solution. Okay. So let us read out the set first. 6 friends, Ananya, Bikram, Chitra, Deepak, Ishwar, and Fatima, visited Garuda Mall in Indiranagar on the eve of Diwali to buy gifts. They arrived one after the other with a gap of 20 minutes between any two consecutive arrivals. यानी कि उनमें से कोई भी दो फ्रेंड्स ऐसा नहीं है जो कि साथ में आए. All the friends arrived at different times with a gap of 20 minutes each. And no two friends departed at the same time. ना तो अराइवल साथ में है ना डिपार्चर साथ में. ठीक है, so all friends arrived at a gap of 20 minutes. डिपार्चर में चीजें अलग हो सकती हैं, but अराइवल में we know for sure that they arrived one after the other with a gap of 20 minutes each. Now, then additional conditions are given. Chitra arrived at the same time when Ananya departed. Chitra spent 100 minutes at the store. अब कैसे हम चीजों को अरेंज कर सकते हैं फॉर दिस क्वेश्चन? तो एक तरीका ये हो सकता है कि वी कैन मेक अ टाइमलाइन विद शोइंग अराइवल्स एट द टॉप एंड डिपार्चर्स एट द बॉटम. So as per the given information, Chitra arrived at the same time when Ananya departed. The arrival of Chitra and departure of Ananya happened at the same time. We can show it that way. Okay, this is arrival and this is departure. And Chitra spent total 100 minutes at the store. Next information, Bikram was the third person to arrive at the store. So we can say that arrival number 3, यानी कि A3, this is equal to Bikram. Okay, when Deepak arrived, 3 friends were already there, but he was not the 4th person to arrive. Deepak is not equal to A4. So he could be either the 5th person to arrive or the 6th person to arrive. Then additionally, Fatima shopped for 20 more minutes than Deepak. So Fatima basically stayed for 20 more minutes than Deepak. Then Ishwar arrived. When Ishwar arrived, Ananya was present and he left the store after 3 hours. So when Ananya was already there when Ishwar arrived. अच्छा, इस information का मतलब क्या हुआ? When Ishwar arrived, Ananya was present, but this is not saying Ananya was the only person present. So Ananya might be one of the persons who were present at the store when Ishwar arrived. Isn't it so? इस बात का मतलब यही तो हुआ. तो ईश्वर जब अराइव किया है तब अन्या भी हो सकती है, उसके साथ में और भी फ्रेंड्स हो सकते हैं. ठीक है, so this is not saying that Ishwar is the second person to arrive. He could be the third, fourth or fifth person to arrive. We do not know, but we know for sure that Ananya was already there. यानी कि Ananya arrived before Ishwar. That is what the statement is suggesting. And the next information is that he left the store after 3 hours. Next information, Fatima arrived at 6:40 PM. यानी कि फातिमा के साथ में टाइम भी गिवन है, टाइम स्पेंड इस टाइम भी गिवन है कि टाइम का भी कहीं ना कहीं यूज हो सकता है, क्योंकि थर्ड क्वेश्चन में हो रहा है विक्रम डिपार्ट किस टाइम पे स्टोर से किया, यानी कि टाइम का भी हमें पूरा एक आइडिया लगाना पड़ेगा. 6:40 PM पे फातिमा अराइव्ड. एंड देन इफ शी वाज द kth person to arrive, Vikram was k-1th person to depart. Next, the friend who arrived 5th departed 2nd. So 5th arrival is equal to 2nd departure. Next information, the first one to arrive came 200 minutes before the last one to depart. Okay, and everyone stayed for a multiple of 20 minutes. Deepak stayed for the shortest duration. The shortest time is for Deepak. And everyone stayed for a multiple of 20 minutes. So someone might have stayed for 20 minutes, someone might have stayed for 40 minutes, 60 minutes, 80 minutes, and so on. And total time क्या है? First one to arrive came 200 minutes before the last one to depart. यानी कि basically हमारा जो पूरा timeline होगा that will be of 200 minutes. So this was the most important information to start. क्योंकि अब हम टाइमलाइन अपनी बना सकते हैं. ठीक है, अब अफ्रेश अपनी टाइमलाइन को स्टार्ट करते हैं. अभी तक हम सेट को समझ रहे थे, अब इस सेट को टाइमलाइन बना के स्टार्ट करते हैं. ठीक है, और अगर तुम अभी तक इस क्वेश्चन को नहीं कर पाए थे तो अब ट्राई करो. मेक द टाइमलाइन ऑफ 200 मिनट्स एंड अकॉर्डिंगली सॉल्व इट. तो विल बी स्टार्टिंग विद 0, क्योंकि अभी हमें टाइम नहीं पता है कि कब क्या टाइम हो रहा होगा, और एंड करेंगे 200 पे. ओके, तो 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. then 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. Now, whatever we know, first we should be arranging those information. So they arrived one after the other with a gap of 20 minutes between any two consecutive arrivals. यानी कि first person arrived at time 0, second one arrived at time 0 plus 20 minutes, third one arrived at time 40, fourth one at 60. तो arrival को तो arrange कर सकते हैं. Arrival number 1 happened at time 0, second arrival happened at time 20, third one happened at time 40, fourth one happened at time 60, fifth one at 80 minutes and sixth one at 100 minutes. अच्छा, सारे के सारे केसेस में गैप 20 मिनट्स क्यों रखा है? क्योंकि क्वेश्चन यही कह रहा है कि एवरीवन स्टेड फॉर अ मल्टीपल ऑफ 20 minutes. दैट इज व्हाई वी हैव टेकन गैप ऑफ 20 minutes एंड नॉट दैट ऑफ 15 और 30 और 60 minutes. ठीक है, 20 मिनट्स का गैप इसलिए रखा है. और अराइवल विल बी डिस्प्लेइंग एट द टॉप एंड डिपार्चर एट द बॉटम. Okay. So Bikram is the third person to arrive. The third person we know for sure that is Bikram. And Chitra arrived at the same time when Ananya departed. तो इसको separately एक note बना लेंगे. Chitra arrived at the same time when Ananya departed, and Chitra spent total 100 minutes. Next, when Deepak arrived, the three friends were already there, but he was not the fourth person to arrive. So Deepak is not the fourth person to arrive. He could be either the fifth person or the sixth person. Okay. And when Chitra arrived, Ananya departed at the same time. Fatima shot for 20 more minutes than Deepak. The time taken by Fatima is time taken by Deepak plus 20. Acha, Deepak is also a person who stayed for shortest duration. Next, when Ishwar arrived, Ananya was present. He left the store after 3 hours. This information is very important if you understand that he left the store after 3 hours and he stayed total for 180 minutes. अब total timeline ही हमारा 200 minutes का है. So out of those 200 minutes, Ishwar was there for 180 minutes. If he is not the first person because Ananya was already there, so Ishwar cannot be first person to arrive. He cannot be first person to arrive. So he must be the second person to arrive. Because if he is any person after second person, if he is the fourth person, for example, in that case, he cannot spend 180 minutes. Because total 180 minutes spend करने हैं और total timeline ही हमारा 200 minutes का है. अगर if he is the fourth person to arrive, तो 60 minutes पे arrive किया होगा, उसके बाद बचेगा ही 140 minutes. So definitely he is the second person to arrive. First हो नहीं सकता, तो he must be the second person. क्या appreciate कर पा रहे हो कि ईश्वर must be the second person. And if he is the second person and Ananya was already there, then definitely Ananya is the first person. Okay. Now Deepak is not the fourth person, so he can be fifth or sixth person. अब चित्रा के लिए आइडेंटिफाई करना है हमें. चित्रा कैन बी फोर्थ पर्सन और फिफ्थ पर्सन टू अराइव और द सिक्स्थ पर्सन टू अराइव. तो चित्रा के लिए 3 केसेस पॉसिबल है. ईदर शी इज फोर्थ टू अराइव और फिफ्थ टू अराइव और सिक्स्थ टू अराइव. 3 केसेस आर पॉसिबल. Okay. Can Chitra be fifth person to arrive? If Chitra is the fifth person to arrive, in that case, we also know that the friend who arrived fifth departed second. Like arrival number 5 is also the same person who departed second. But if Chitra is the fifth person to arrive, then she must be departing second. But we also know that Chitra spent total 100 minutes at the store. So 80 plus 100 will be 180. Okay, 80 plus 100 will be 180. Like she will be departing at 180 minutes time. But at the same time, she should also be the second person to depart. और हमें पता है कि no two friends have departed at the same time. और departed के बीच में गैप कितना है? 20 minutes का गैप है. तो if she is the second person to depart, तो बाद में टाइम ही कहाँ बचा हमारे पास? तो she cannot be the second person to depart if she has arrived fifth. So definitely there is a contradiction because if the person who has arrived fifth must depart second, so Chitra must not be the fifth person to arrive because she cannot be the second person to depart. Fifth to arrive तो हो सकती थी, but she cannot be the second person to depart because if she is the second person to depart, तो उसके बाद में फिर बचे हुए 3 को कहाँ अरेंज करोगे? पॉसिबल ही नहीं है because if she is the second person, उसके बाद 20 मिनट्स ही पॉसिबल है और सारे के सारे जो फ्रेंड्स हैं वो 20 मिनट्स के गैप के बाद में ही अल्टीमेटली डिपार्ट कर रहे हैं. सो वी आर नॉट in a place जहाँ पे कि अरेंज कर पाए बाकी फ्रेंड्स को. So definitely she is not the fifth person to arrive for sure. Okay, this is wrong assumption. अच्छा, if she is the sixth person to arrive, ये possible हो सकता है. But if she is the sixth person to arrive, then she will be departing at the same time as that of ईश्वर. अच्छा, ईश्वर का डिपार्चर का टाइम हमने मेंशन नहीं किया. 20 पे अराइव किया था and after 180 minutes यानी कि ईश्वर is departing at 200 minutes. He is departing at 200 minutes, so he is the sixth person, last person to depart. So in that case, if Chitra is the sixth person, so she will be departing with Ishwar, which is not possible because no two friends departed at the same time. So she can also not be the sixth person. क्या लॉजिक क्लियर है कि हमने चित्रा को केसेस कंसिडर किए. चित्रा कैनॉट बी द फोर्थ पर्सन टू अराइव, फिफ्थ पर्सन टू अराइव, नॉट पॉसिबल बिकॉज इन दैट केस शी कैनॉट बी द सेकंड पर्सन टू डिपार्ट. Similarly, Chitra cannot be the sixth person to arrive because in that case she will be departing with Ishwar, and that is not possible. So she must be the fourth person to arrive. Chitra must be the fourth person to arrive in that case. And if she is the fourth person to arrive, then Ananya departed at the same time. So Ananya must be the first person to depart. Okay. Now fifth and sixth places बचे हैं. अब इनमें से एक प्लेस होगा दीपक का और एक प्लेस होगा फातिमा का. Now can Fatima arrive before Deepak or after Deepak? अब इनमें से एक प्लेस बचा है दीपक का और एक प्लेस बचा है फातिमा का. तो क्या केसेस पॉसिबल हो सकता है? Can Deepak be the sixth person to arrive? If Deepak is the sixth person to arrive, in that case, Fatima will be fifth person. And Fatima has stayed for longer duration than Deepak. तो ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता कि फातिमा अराइव करते ही डिपार्ट कर गई हो. दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. ठीक है, सो ऐसा तो पॉसिबल नहीं है कि फातिमा अराइव करते डिपार्ट कर गई हो. Isn't it so? So definitely यहाँ पे if when Deepak has arrived, we are seeing that exactly 3 friends were already there. Ishwar has not departed because Ishwar is the last person to depart. And if Fatima has arrived at 5th place, in that case, if she is the kth person to arrive, Vikram was the k minus 1th person to depart. So if Fatima is equal to A5, 5th person to arrive, in that case, Fatima must be second to depart. Or additionally, अच्छा फातिमा ये भी तो मेंशन है कि if Fatima is the 5th person to arrive, then Fatima must be the second person to depart. ठीक है, second person to depart. But if that is so, is that even possible? Or if she is the 5th person to arrive, then Vikram is 4th person to depart. तो विक्रम डिपार्ट किया नहीं है, ईश्वर डिपार्ट किया नहीं है, अनन्या डिपार्ट किया, चित्रा अभी तक डिपार्ट की नहीं है, बिकॉज चित्रा विल बी डिपार्टिंग आफ्टर 100 मिनट्स. तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है कोई केस, क्योंकि फातिमा आते ही डिपार्ट करने गई है, शी विल बी स्टेइंग. ठीक है, सो डेफिनेटली बिकॉज शी स्टेड फॉर 20 मिनट्स मोर देन दीपक, तो वहां पे कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन आ रहा है. फातिमा कैन नॉट बी 5th पर्सन टू अराइव. क्या क्लियर है, क्या ही समझ पा रहे हो? क्योंकि अगर फातिमा 5th पर्सन टू अराइव होती है, इन दैट केस शी मस्ट बी सेकंड टू डिपार्ट. और फातिमा stayed for 20 minutes more than Deepak. So that is not possible at all. क्योंकि जब दीपक आया है तब there are 3 persons exactly. और अगर दीपक 6th place पे आया तो there must be 2 persons who have already departed before arrival of Deepak. But that is not possible. So Deepak must be the 5th person to arrive. And hence Fatima will be the 6th person to arrive. And we know that Fatima arrived at 6:40 p.m. So the time when Fatima arrived is 6:40 p.m. So starting time will be 6:40 minus 100, यानी कि 0 time 0 will be at 5 p.m. And time 200 minutes will be after 3 hours 20 minutes, यानी कि 8:20 p.m. अब बाकी को भी अरेंज कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि चित्रा के लिए इन्फॉर्मेशन बताया. चित्रा स्पेंड 100 मिनट्स, तो 60 प्लस 100 यानी कि 160 पे चित्रा मस्ट हैव डिपार्टेड. एंड सिंस फातिमा इज 6 टू अराइव, A6 is equal to Fatima, then Bikram must be equal to 5th person to depart, D5, because he must be K minus 1 depart. तो Bikram must be 5th person to depart. तो चित्रा के बाद में डिपार्ट किया होगा, और चित्रा के बाद में between Chitra and Ishwar there is only one slot available because all friends stayed for a multiple of 20 minutes. So Bikram must be departing at exactly 180 minutes. He is the 5th to depart, Chitra is the 4th to depart, and Ananya is the first to depart. तो second और third क्या होंगे? दीपक एंड फातिमा. एंड फातिमा stayed for 20 minutes more than दीपक. अब लिमिट क्या है? क्योंकि फातिमा चित्रा के साथ में तो डिपार्ट की नहीं होगी, चित्रा के बाद में कोई स्लॉट ही अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो फातिमा कैन either spend 20 minutes or 40 minutes. But since Fatima has stayed for 20 more minutes than Deepak, तो एक ही केस पॉसिबल है कि फातिमा must have stayed for 40 minutes. Okay, so departed at 1:40 वाला टाइम, and Deepak stayed for 20 minutes. So departed when Fatima arrived. Second to depart, and Fatima is third to depart. Is this clear? ठीक है, so ये हमारा पूरा स्लॉट फिट हो गया. अब क्वेश्चंस करते हैं इस पर बेसिस पे. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, हु वाज द सेकंड पर्सन टू डिपार्ट फ्रॉम द स्टोर? तो दीपक वाज द सेकंड पर्सन टू डिपार्ट फ्रॉम द स्टोर. फर्स्ट वाज अनन्या, सेकंड वाज दीपक, third was Fatima, and Vikram was 5th person. Second, what is the total time in minutes spent by Deepak and Fatima? So Deepak spent 20 minutes, Fatima spent 40 minutes, total time spent was 60 minutes. At what time Vikram departed from the store? So Vikram departed at time 180 minutes. 0 minutes is 5 p.m. So Vikram departed at 8 p.m. Answer will be 8 p.m. for Vikram. Okay. Option C is the answer. Next question. Which of the following statements is definitely true? Fatima spent more time shopping than Ananya. This is not correct because Ananya spent total. What time spent क्या Ananya? 5 to 6, 60 minutes. Ananya spent 60 minutes. Fatima spent 40. So this is not correct. अच्छा सबका टाइम भी नोट डाउन कर लेते हैं. Ananya spent 60. Then Vikram spent, total time spent by Vikram, that is from 40 to 180, 140 minutes. Then 100 minutes by Chitra, and Deepak spent 20. Ishwar spent 180. And lastly, Fatima spent 40 minutes. So first statement is incorrect. Second, Chitra arrived at the store at 6:20 p.m. This is also not correct because Chitra arrived at 6 p.m. Not correct. Third one, Ananya was the second person to leave the store. This is not correct. She was the first person. And Chitra was the fourth person to leave the store. Yes, this is right. Option D is definitely correct. So Chitra was the fourth person to leave the store. Next question. Time spent at the store by some of the friends formed an arithmetic progression which of the following can be those friends. Which of the following can be those friends. So Ananya, Chitra and Bikram. Ananya spent 60 minutes, Chitra spent 100 and Bikram spent 140. So 60, 100 and 140 are making a arithmetic progression. This is possible. Second one, Ananya, Fatima and Deepak. 60 by Ananya, Fatima का 40 है और दीपक का 20 है, तो 60, 40 and 20 are also forming a AP. This is also possible. यानी कि ऑप्शन डी आंसर होगा. ठीक है, सी भी देख लेते हैं. दीपक, चित्रा एंड ईश्वर. दीपक का टाइम है 20, चित्रा का टाइम है 100, ईश्वर का टाइम है 180, तो 20, 100 and 180, तो yes, they are also forming IAP. This is also possible. Option D definitely must be the answer. दिस वॉज अ ब्यूटीफुल सेट. आई बिलीव कि सारे के सारे क्वेश्चन समझ में होगा, तुमने अपने एंड पे भी इस क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व कर पाओगे. ठीक है, और अगर नहीं कर पाओगे तो आप समझ जाओगे कैसे ऐसे किसी शेड्यूल के क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करते हैं. और डेफिनेट वेरिएशंस ऑफ शेड्यूलिंग हम आगे के सेशंस में लेंगे. ठीक है, आई होप कि ये सेशन तुम्हें अच्छे से समझ में आएगा. फिर भी कहीं कोई भी छोटा सा भी डाउट रहता है तो कमेंट जरूर मेंशन करना. So that doubt should also be resolved. And that's all for this session. Also give a feedback in the comment section कि तुम्हें सेशन कैसा लगा. And bye bye. Take care and keep learning.